Hello, this is Jennifer with Women Loving Jesus, and today we're on Proverbs 5:23. For lack of discipline, they will die, led astray by their own great folly. This is the last verse in chapter 5, and I think it just sums up a lot of what we've been talking about in chapter 5. And we talked about instructions, we talked about temptations, we talked about when you're following into those temptations, how to acknowledge them and then turn away from them. And then at the very end, we're saying if you don't have that discipline, and I think this is referring to discipline with temptations, to say no to that, discipline in learning God's word, being connected to God, trying to develop a relationship with God, then what will happen is you will be led astray. Eventually, the sin will consume you. And whether this is a spiritual death or a physical death, or is talking about both, you will eventually just be left alone with all the sin. And when we look around at the people we know, either acquaintances, families, or friends, and we've heard maybe a little bit of their stories and their path. You know, whether someone is really following God at this pinpoint in crossroads in their life when there's temptation to tell them to go this way, or to be obedient and follow God. I think what it comes down to is just that discipline to either walk away, or you have that lack of discipline and you just go for it anyway. And unfortunately, there's stories of people who lack the discipline and then become obedient to the Lord, and then we just hear their stories and it's just really sad, and there's a lot of sorrow in that. And then there's testimonies where it's by God's grace only that people were disciplined and turned to the Lord, and it was as a blessing, as something to be praising all day long. So I pray as we summed up this Proverbs that you take a look, and in the smallest areas, where does discipline need to be strengthened to help you be obedient to the Lord? I thank you for listening, and I hope you're encouraged by God's word.